Dr. Jazz.
I'll just jump in and ask you
Dr.
one question. Like,
Jazz.
I listened today to so many records in this week with you on, and I love your band leading stuff that started already like the mid '90s that with Dave Carpenter and Erskine and Bob Shepard and those records. And uh, I wanted to start
Hmm.
this talk by asking you what's happening on the band leading department, because I don't know, maybe I'm behind, but I haven't. I don't know what's happening there. Like, do you have something new preparing or?
Yeah, well, um, with regards to the leading my own project, um, the last official solo leading project is Sojourn, which is from the year 2008.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Uh, what happened is that after that, I did two more projects that are also me as a leader, but I ended up somehow packaging them under a trio name or a duo name.
Okay.
Uh, and the truth is because I always wanted to do a fully electric project, because that's a big part of what I do. But having that whole history of doing acoustic jazz projects, I was not sure if I should diversify so abruptly. So that's why I decided, okay, I'm gonna do this trio. We're gonna call it Elemental Trio. But it's basically, if you read the credit, it's all my music.
Yeah.
And it's my production. So, and then the same thing I did with a Brazilian. I always wanted to do a completely Brazilian project, kind of like an homage to Cesar Mariano, Camargo Mariano, and
Yeah.
Elio Del Miro. They did a beautiful duo album in the late 70s. So I always wanted to do something like that. And then I didn't know if I should, again, put my name in something that was so different. So I created the duo Essencia. But I'm always trying. And I did two albums. One album with my wife, in which, again, I was not sure if I should approach it as a solo album, because it's a band. We created a band, our band, but she's a singer. So always the singer is perceived as the leader of the album. It's really hard to. So that first album, we decided, okay, it's going to be her record featuring me. And then we just did the part two, which is
Okay.
going to be released very soon. We just finished the mixes, and this time, okay, let's do it as a duo effort. I'm I'm terrible with marketing. I don't know exactly what's good or what's bad. I just didn't want to confuse people.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's a
and
bizarre
and
world.
and my yeah, my regular, like, I'm gonna resume my solo projects right now, because I'm done with this project with my wife. It took us a long time, a lot of details and stuff. So now I'm gonna record very soon my new
Yeah.
solo project with my quartet.
Fantastic. Looking forward to these. Those are burning, man. Like that.
Thank
It's
you,
and the compositions.
thank you, man.
I love those tunes. Like what you wrote on those early records. I mean, like it's beautiful music and really cool. So
Thank you
looking
so
forward.
much. Yeah, so I have a lot of new music, and that's a problem too. When I never stop writing, and then the time goes by, and then you go back, and when you are ready to record, you realize, wow, this tune is like more than 10 years old.
Exactly.
Should I record it? Now I don't think like that. Now I want to do something different. But also, for instance, I have a whole catalog of vocal tunes of songs, just regular songs, like love songs. I always had that side, I love singing love songs. I mean, people singing love songs.
Sure.
So I have all these tunes and so that's another album that I'm not gonna be able to put it out under my name, but I'll come up with something.
That's good. Okay, that's a lot. Yeah, but fun. I mean, okay, good to hear that you're active, like as a writer and composer as well. So, I mean, I know you've done so much sideman stuff that it's
yeah.
But I wanted to ask you this, like, what's happening there? So good to hear that things are busy also there. Nice.
Well, and as you know, there's another component to this question or to this answer, which is the fact that being a sideman is a very, very comfortable place to be.
True.
I love playing music. Yeah. So, and I get to play music with my heroes. So, and without the risk, without the financial risk, we go on tour. Sideman, we always get our part of the deal, and you are treated well. As long as you're treated well, it's a good place to be. So I also appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, being a band leader is like it's a pain in the ass. It's fun, but also it's like that this other kind of out of the comfort zone in a sense of everything else, but the playing. The playing is of course fun, but the rest.
Yeah, exactly. But but another thing happens too. I mean, maybe it happens just to me. I like what I do. I like the songs that I compose. I like my compositions. But I am not like I know so many people that fall in love with their own stuff. It's kind of like a subtle narcissism, I know a lot of people that this is it, and to be honest, I like the stuff, but I also like other people's tunes, and they inspire me. And sometimes I even play better on other people's tunes than on my own tunes, because when I write my tunes, usually I come up with some kind of like a challenge for me, and I'm always like really pushy, like trying to meet this challenge that I self-impose, right? And whether it is like harmonic or rhythmical stuff or some technical stuff or just like I've written songs that are like so open and so slow. It's like, wow, it's like it requires a special approach, and I do it for that reason, to grow, to force myself to grow. But in the meantime, I love playing other people's music too, so I never fall in love with my own stuff.
I know, yeah.
I try to do it, but
yeah, definitely. But what made you fall in love with this music that you're playing now? I mean, your taste is so diverse. I checked my records that I have you on, and it's like everything from the early records with Arturo Sandoval and the fusion stuff and the guitarists. And with Diane Reeves, it's like you cannot be more diverse. Like, what was it when you were a teenager in Venezuela? Like that you said, shit, I want to play this music. I mean,
well, but my background when I was a kid. My family is very musical, but we didn't have any professional musicians. And my family is from a part of Venezuela where the cowboys, like the cowboy lands, a lot of cattle ranches, and so they have this folk music, and everybody plays this little instrument called the cuatro. Everybody plays. So as a kid, I grew up like with this music, playing the cuatro, so four strings.
Yeah.
And then I thought I wanted to be a guitar player, and I started the whole career in the conservatory for classical guitar. So my
Really?
world was
Wow.
classical music applied to the guitar. Yeah, yeah. So so that's the sound that I have really deeply embedded. But in Latin American countries, especially Venezuela, and every country, everybody says, "Oh, in our country we have this, we have that." Of course, every country has treasures and
Something, yeah.
amazing things culturally. But the one thing that the Venezuela really, really, really has is the geographic location, which right now, after the internet, after the 90s, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. You can live in Nepal and you have access to the same information. But up till the 90s, there was nothing. I mean, so Venezuela is located in a place where we got the United States was right there, Miami,
Yeah.
the Caribbean for Cuba music, the Central America, and Brazil.
Brazil, yeah.
Brazilian music. Is that because we're neighbors? And of course, the European classical tradition. So, so as a musician, you are always bombarded by all these influences. There's no way you can escape from that. And this is I would say it's a thing from that period when I was starting from the 60s all the way to the 90s. So you can be a classical musician as I was, but in public transportation you're always listening to
Yep.
Caribbean music, and we in the family gatherings it was the folk music, and I played in a jazz club every night. That's something that nobody can understand what it is. No musician here in the United States can understand what it is to play in a jazz club every night with the best musicians in town every night for many years. So
that was in Caracas, or
in Caracas, yeah,
Caracas, yeah. Sorry.
it's a very famous club in Latin America because it was like a very unique establishment, and even within the jazz program weekly, each night was dedicated to a specific kind of jazz. So it brought different audiences. We used to have like a cocktail kind of jazz on Mondays, and then on Tuesdays we used to have Brazilian jazz, Brazilian bossa nova, and Brazilian jazz. On Wednesdays we used to have Dixieland and early jazz.
Okay.
And Thursdays we used to have Afro-Caribbean jazz, and then Fridays and Saturdays straight ahead. So it was oh, give me a second. This is very important. One second. Thank you so much.
Yes.
You see, now we're talking.
That's that's what you needed, man.
Yeah. So whether you like it or not, there's a lot of cross-pollination of styles and stuff. And that's what we're seeing now globally, That's where I see how amazing it is that I've seen bands from Japan playing Venezuelan folk music, and they sound like as if they are from Venezuela, because the information now just reached every corner of the planet. Yeah. So I'm a result of that geographical location and the time. So now,
interesting.
It really reflects on whatever career decisions you make, because I don't know, for good or for bad, but sometimes some people might think that we spread too thin. We spread ourselves too thin. Some people value the versatility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some people think you're just not good enough in one thing. So it is a constant battle for validation. You know that
Yeah.
that I'm
Interesting. Oh, how come you decided then to move to LA, to go to LA and not New York, for instance? I mean, because you could do actually both, right?
well, yeah. Obviously, New York is and always was and continues to be the most concentration of jazz music. Uh, um, but I at the time I came to the United States, I was looking for continuing my education, and I didn't get enough responses from colleges, Berkeley at the time. I mean, it was really hard to get a scholarship, and I wanted to go to Berkeley. At the time, the New School or Manhattan School, nobody talked about those places at that time. It was Berkeley. I went to Miami. I wanted to study with Vince Maggio in Miami, and it was a lovely program. Still is a lovely program, but they didn't offer enough financial aid for me. And then I came to Los Angeles, and I had a contact in Cal Arts, and they immediately allowed me to join, and they offered me all the help, plus the weather. The weather in LA is, once you live in LA, New York is not an option.
I know what, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah. I can imagine, yeah. Was
Plus, also one more thing is that I love playing piano, and I in New York you see all these cats playing, in great clubs. New York has this thing that every club has a piano, a good piano. In LA, there are no pianos in the clubs. It's very rare to find a place with a good piano. That's a little bit of a low. But in New York, to be a keyboardist is really hard.
True.
Because you have to sacrifice a lot of hardware, or at the time we didn't have plugins. You had to bring different keyboards, a rack of modules and stuff. New York was not a friendly place for that. So LA is designed for that. LA in the 80s, when I arrived, every club has a back entrance where you can load immediately to the stage. Every club. So it's perfect for almost everything. So
yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Was it hard for you in the beginning to become part of the scene? I mean, I checked what records I have, and I think the first records I have you on is with Arturo Sandoval. And how did you end up with Arturo? And I mean, like in general, like becoming part of the scene. I know. Then I checked. I listened. You were so diverse already in the beginning. There's records then with Frank Gambale, and the same time Arturo. So it's like really two different vibes. How did all that begin?
Well, sometimes they say that you have to be at the right place at the right time. So when I tell the story of how I connected in LA, people don't believe it, but it's the truth. Then the night I arrived in LA, I only had the contact in the college and a friend that we agreed to rent an apartment together. So this friend came before me, and he got his apartment, and he started studying one semester before me. So he arranged everything, and then I came, and the apartment was ready. So when I arrived, that day or the day after, my friend was presenting his recital for that semester. And he was going to play in that recital with the teachers, some instructors from the program, and Alex Acuna on drums.
Oh, okay.
So, and they were playing one of my songs, one of my tunes. So I arrived and I went to see him. I was really jet lagged, but I went to see the concert, and they invited me to play my tune. And then that day, Alex Acuna offered me to join his band.
Oh, okay.
So it was the same day, and that's how it happened, Yeah. And then some of the guys are so talented. They come here and they might spend years and years and years and nothing. They don't get that golden break, So life works in very weird ways,
Yeah.
But then Alex, of course, Alex was at that. He's still super active. He's like, almost 80 years old.
Yeah.
But that at that time, Alex was in his 40s, like prime time, super connected, doing stuff with Wayne Shorter, doing stuff with everybody, with Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
And through Alex, I met Abe Laboriel, and also Justo Almario, which is another figure that helped me a lot in the very beginning. Justo at the time was like really, really established as a forefront Latin jazz musician. So they had a band called Koinonia, Alex and Abe and Justo. So they together met me at that time, and they helped me interconnect with other. And then shortly after that, I met Frank Gambale. Yeah, it was just like a word of mouth, Arturo Sandoval. I had met Arturo Sandoval when I was in Venezuela, because I went to Cuba to play in a festival, and we met briefly, and then he went to Venezuela to play, and then we became, we reconnected, and we played in the same festival. So when Arturo Sandoval was looking for a keyboard player, his drummer, which is another very good friend of mine, Aaron Serfati, Aaron told him, Otmaro is in Los Angeles. Oh, great. Boom. It was immediately,
Wow.
So it was, it was a very interesting chain reaction.
Wow. Wow. I mean, obviously you were monstrously good already back then, so you did your homework, so that's important also, no?
Well, yeah, the hardest part is not. I mean, of course, so for some people, getting the gig is hard, but to me, the hardest thing is getting the gig for the second time.
True.
You
Keeping it,
get the first call. Anybody can get the first call. The important thing is getting the second call.
True.
So you have to get your stuff together and deliver.
Yeah, definitely. How did you then? I mean, immediately then you became a band leader. Also, I mentioned those records, "Nothing to Hide" and "Distant Friends," and the bands there are incredible. And especially Dave on bass, who was one of the best bassists, I think, around. Like that record, I think, with Alan Holdsworth, 16 Men of Tain. That's what he's playing there. It's incredible.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. He was unique.
How did you decide to do those records, and what's the story behind them?
The story of the first records is I did an album in 1991, I believe, that it was with a trombone player called Luis Bonilla.
Oh yeah, sure. I know Luis.
And yeah, and he did a wonderful record with all these guys, all these people, and I participated. And the producer of this record is a Japanese gentleman who still is a very good friend. We're keeping good in contact. He told me that they were looking for someone to play new arrangements of Ryuichi Sakamoto's music, which is a film composer from Japan. And I told him, wow, I know Ryuichi's music. And he was impressed that I would that this guy from Venezuela would know anything about Rich's music. But I've been not only a film fanatic, but a film composer since ever, so I know all the scores. And so they say, yeah, we're looking, it has to be a solo piano.
Wow. Okay.
So it was like kind of like, it was not ideal, but it was a very good record company at the time. They offered me very good money. And I said, why not? I mean, it's like I'm just a little kid starting here in LA. So, but I asked him, what I want is that if I do this record, I want to have at least 2 more records
Okay.
for me after that, under my name, and they said, yeah, sure.
Wow.
So that's how I did the first record called Distant Friends.
Yeah.
And then I did Nothing to Hide. Now, that was a very weird situation because I didn't know anything about record companies, record labels, or how things were done. So I ended up giving them all the
publishing
rights
yeah
for all this music. Yeah. I didn't know anything. I just wanted to have my records,
Yeah.
So they offered me good money and the visibility, and I just took the ride. Now, in retrospective, I wish I had my babies.
Yeah.
But they helped me. They served their purpose, because with these records I could also reach more people and connect, and they serve as a very expensive business cards,
Oh man,
yeah. And that's how they never allowed me. For instance, that was something really weird. They only marketed in Japan, and this is before internet. So they never released in the United States or anywhere else. So, and even after all these years, they refused to allow me to distribute anywhere else. It's like they had no intention of going beyond Japan. So I was very, very limited, and very frustrated.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to become a band leader? I mean, especially with those incredible musicians in your band, like.
No, because I mean, I clicked with Alex. I was already playing already, and he's like my older brother. But with Dave, he was such a beautiful person, and so they were so supportive of my early projects, and whenever I had any kind of show, they were like, yeah, let's do it. And it was lovely time. But I was I didn't have experience at all in the logistical side of being a leader. I only was paying attention to the music and the fun of the music and the cast of musicians, but I was not good, and I admit I'm still very bad at the business of records. So I didn't know how to expand. I mean, I have this wonderful unit. How do I expand? How do I go to concerts, festivals? I never could do that, because I thought, in my very limited mind, I thought that the record company was going to set this up.
Yeah.
So I kept waiting, and then I did the Sakamoto record, and then after that I did Distant Friends, and then Nothing to Hide, and then I kept waiting. Well, I think maybe after this they're gonna help me do a tour in Japan at least and start something, and that never happened. And time goes by, and other artists start doing their thing, and it's really, really hard. And so I never had a management, and I never had a booking agent. All the tours and all the activity that I had outside of the United States, for instance, when I used to go to Italy and travel in Italy, I did it with the help of my friends and do, like muscle grease,
Yeah. Yeah.
elbow grease, they call it.
Yeah. 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 It's heavy. Yeah. I know what you mean. I did the same, like giving up the publishing rights for the first few records, and
Yeah,
you don't know anything about anything. You just have this idealistic idea how you see Pat
yeah,
Metheny on the road, and you're like, man, I want to do that.
exactly, yeah. And
And
now it's even worse. Now nobody knows anything.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Nobody has control over anything, so it's like what to do.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Uh, Otmaro, I wanted to ask you, one of the first records I heard you on, like, what was with The Heart of Things by McLauglin, and
Hmm.
how did you end up in that group and playing with John? I mean, how was that like for you? And
Oh man. Well, there's a story behind it.
oh, please, come on.
No, but I mean that story, the true story, I'm gonna keep it for my
Okay.
when I'm in my deathbed. I'm gonna. That's serious. It's a very funny story how I made it to that band. But let's say that there was a little bit of confusion at the beginning, and for because I had met John. In Montreal Festival. I was playing with Diane Riggs, and Jim Beard,
Mhm.
who was in the band at the time, he got like a sudden offer from Wayne Shorter to go on tour, and then he left the band and literally left them hanging.
Oh shit! Wow.
And they had this tour in Europe, a whole tour in Europe, and a live record thing.
Yeah.
And also they didn't have a keyboard player. So the management from John, Christian Pegan, and everybody in the organization, they knew me because we had toured with Diane before, and they knew what I could do. So they allowed me to. They passed on my information, and John was so desperate because it was really the time was very limited to get somebody. It was very hard music,
Exactly. Yeah.
very hard music,
Uh-huh.
and again, this is I think that was 98, so it's not like you couldn't find. I mean, it was not like today you could send files, audio files and PDF. None of that. I mean, there
Shit.
was
Wow.
no way
Yeah.
to prepare for this. It was like really nerve-wracking. So he ended up like, oh, you are the guy. Let's do it. So he took a leap of faith. That's the light version of the funny story. He took a leap of faith because he didn't know me personally.
Yeah.
He just took the advice from his people and said, "Yeah, call Otmaro." So, and when I joined the band, when I arrived in Monaco, we had one rehearsal.
Wow. Shit. How was
One
that like?
rehearsal.
The first rehearsal, man, with that heavy music. That was.
Yeah, but we had. I swear to God, I was so nervous because it was not just that the music was hard. It was that Jim Beard is a I mean, I'm so sorry that he left
Yep.
us. He was such a master programmer, So the sounds were incredible. So I had to devote some time to do programming of the sounds too. So it was a lot of work in very limited time. But we had one rehearsal, and the next day we had a television concert
Good.
in Leverkusen in Germany. So it was like jumping from a train, you know, because the next day I was going to be completely exposed.
Yeah.
So John took a leap of faith with me.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm glad it happened.
Man, you're killing it on that record. It's like
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I don't know which gig it was in the row, but the band sounds like
That was the last.
the last.
The
Okay,
last.
it's
We
like
did a whole tour. It was a long tour.
Yeah.
And then we had 2 nights of recordings in Paris.
Yeah, it's like it's really like some of your solos there. It's like, man, damn. Yeah.
And there were like and I remember we had like a lot of. I thought it was going to be a double album because it was 2 concerts.
Yeah.
And I remember I asked John, it's like, should we shorten our solos? Should we just play and try to fit all the music? And it's like, no, just go play whatever. So I thought it was going to be a double album, but I think he ended up just choosing just less tunes.
Yeah. Now it's a beautiful record, man. It's still, if you put it on, it's just like the band is like,
yeah, it was lovely time to. That will forever be in my memory, and the way he received me in his band. He was so gracious. I mean, I've been in situations with band leaders where I have to step in and try and sub for somebody else, and they are not as accommodating. Because when you're subbing for someone with such a short notice and trying to cover so many different, I mean, the sounds, the music, there's a lot of pressure, and some leaders are like really, really bad at managing their pressure. So they're never too nice, or they're just like too concerned about doing the stuff. But John was so relaxed, It's like, it made me feel like, wow, like, okay, I think I belong here. At this point, I belong here. It's not like they're like comparing me to anybody, or he let me do my thing.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Yeah, you definitely belong there on that stage with that band. It was like, yeah, beautiful. Yeah. How important was Diane for you, Reeves? Like,
yeah, totally. Because with Diane, there were 3. I mean, those are the 4 or 5 associations that allow me to really expand. More coffee. Now it's bigger.
Oh man, that's a sumo cup. Okay.
Those 4 associations that really allow me to expand. Arturo Sandoval, Frank Gambale, because with Arturo I reached the Latin jazz people, and with Sandoval I reached the fusion people. But in the middle of all this, Gino Vanelli called me.
Oh,
and
really?
I was like a super fanatic of Gino Vanelli.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, super fanatic. So when he called me, wow. So that's when I left Arturo's band. And Arturo was very understanding, because I told him, listen, Arturo, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, for anybody, to play with someone like that you always admired, and Gino's production at the time was like, I knew if I didn't do it at that time, there was never another time where I was going to be able to do that. We traveled the whole world with the piano that I wanted.
Oh
We
man,
traveled with a
come on.
piano. Yeah.
Wow, crazy.
I chose the piano, and we traveled with the same piano the whole world. So,
Right, okay.
and the production was top. You know, jazz is about the playing and about the attitude, but in terms of production, you know, jazz is you know,
Yeah.
sometimes the quality of sound is like it's secondary. But Gino is, as you know, is pop, is the pop production. It's like everything is like bulletproof, top quality. So I knew it's like if I didn't take it at that time, I was never going to have access to this kind of thing where I was on the stage and I knew every note was sounding like a recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no brainer. I mean, it's like, and Arturo, yeah, just go and do it. And then at that same time, Diane Reeves, which was also one of the greatest schools for me, because Diane was doing what I think she does best, which is everything. You know, she's a lovely jazz singer, but what I like best is when she does everything. Jazz with Brazilian, with African, with this, with that. And for me, that was perfect, because that's my bag. So Diane, the growth between Gino and Diane was like, in my head anyway. I don't know if it translated to my hands, but in my head, I felt like I was like, wow. And yeah, so those two things led me to John McLaughlin, you know, because of these tours and these festivals that I used to, you know. So yeah,
amazing. Yeah, and then you ended up like you have a really strong connection with bass players. I figure out when I check the records, like, you know, Jimmy Haslip and Adrian Farrow and Alain Caron and all these great guys. I was like, man, you're like on so many bass players' records. Why is that? Like, no,
I don't know, but I mean, well, the good thing, I don't know, but I feel privileged because I learn a lot from their perspective, you know, their music, but also a friend of mine used to tell me, man, you are working with all the. I was working with all the drummers, that almost every drummer from Weather Report, for instance.
Oh shit, yeah, exactly.
You know, Peter Erskine, Alex Acuna, Chester Thompson, Ayrton. Yeah, so it was like, so it was like a dream, because everyone has this perspective, you know. Ndugu Chancellor.
Oh yeah.
I used to play with Ndugu, so
really?
So it was like all this history. I felt like they were passing on all this history and anecdotes and sensibility for the music. Each one had their own thing. So you know, again, I love to play my music, but I mean, if these guys call me to do a tour, yes, I'm in. My music is there, it's here all the time, ready. But those opportunities, you know, are pure gold.
Priceless. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I also read you played with Charlie Hayden and the Liberation Orchestra. How did that happen?
Well, that was when I arrived to CalArts. Charlie was like the figure,
Oh yeah, exactly. He was
figure
there.
from
Yeah.
CalArts.
Exactly.
And lovely cat, so sweet, man. He was always very sweet with me. And so he did an edition of his band where he brought some of his musicians from East Coast, and then he assembled some of the most prominent students at the time
Okay.
from the university. So we did a series of concerts with this, and then we became friends. We were. He was a great cat.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Well, Otmaro, not to take too much of your time, I just wanted to ask you also, like, I watched some YouTube footage of you playing with Simon Phillips's Protocol band, and I saw that band with Andy Timmons years ago here in my hometown. And it was, I think it was Steve
Yeah.
Weingart on keyboards then. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
how did you end up in this band? And also, like, secondary question, when I listen to you playing like these odd meters or like with whomever, you seem so comfortable. How did you learn that aspect of the music also to be like, it sounds so effortless?
Oh, well, first, I've known about Protocol also for a long time. I'm very good friends with Steve Weingart, and to me, Protocol is one of the most important true fusion bands in existence right now. Very strong post weather report, kind of like they're pushing on with this and Protocol 4 album was recorded by Dennis Ham, which is another great keyboardist that I admire. And at that time, I believe, so Dennis got another one of these situations in which he got another opportunity that at the moment seemed to be more interesting, more profitable for him. So all of a sudden, Simon was again left hanging, and I got the SOS, and I took it, because I was doing some stuff with Billy Cobham, but Billy, it didn't quite, it didn't quite happen the way I wanted, and so this was perfect because I transitioned, from that Billy Cobham thing to Simon's music, which is so complex, and I took it as a challenge again. I had I kind of like it's not I don't necessarily like odd meters per se.
Okay.
Because the way some people write odd meters, sometimes it comes across like as a mind game, like as a mathematical exercise, and I don't like that. I like when a beat, whatever it is, when a beat sounds natural. And Simon can't do that. Simon can take any beat and make it sound like it's really balanced. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't limp. So I tried. I've had interest in knowing about this, and I tried to. I took a couple of semesters of Indian music, and trying to understand the system of the talas and the metric. It's really complicated, and it's like that would involve a lifetime of study. So I didn't quite like. I cannot lie if I tell you that I know exactly what it is, but I think that gave me a little bit of a interest and insight about how you can break things down. And Simon always makes fun of this little story about there was one of the tunes that he wrote that was so complicated, and it was really hard to feel it. And for a Latin person, we try to find what we call the clave.
Clave, yeah.
In everything, yeah. So there's clave in everything. There's a clave in everything. And so I asked Simon, I was like, man, where's the clave on this? Tell me the clave. And then Simon, of course, he didn't think of those terms, but he thought about it. It's like, it makes so much sense. You just go to the skeleton of the beat and the main accents, and that's, you create this clave, and that's all you need to make it feel good. So still is a challenge for me. I'm not an expert, but I always take it as a opportunity to grow. So and Simon Phillips does that. For me, his music is always an opportunity to grow and to develop so many things that I didn't know I could do. And also, I am very old-fashioned in terms of when I play keyboards. I don't like to have like samples or trigger sequences or anything. I like to try to do everything with my hands. Yeah. So that was another challenge. How can I do this thing here and then have this? So that's why I go like really old-fashioned. I have like 3 or 4 different keyboards that I'm like, I always have stuff kind of like the Salamon school. Salamon didn't like that either. Salamon always had like total independence to go from one keyboard to another. Nothing. The mapping, the MIDI mapping was very limited, as far as I recall. And so I like this, that plus for many years I always try to do plugins to work from the computer, and I had very bad experiences. So working with plugins always limits you to whatever is mapped, whatever. So I don't like that. So Simon's music presents this challenge, and how do I give the illusion, because it's an illusion, that there's this layer here or there's a hit there that comes from nowhere, and then a little sound. So it's my own personal trip to try to. But I know there are people that can do that much more efficiently. I cannot deny the power of technology. Of course, you can do this thing much more efficiently, mapping things on the computer or triggering stuff. But that's not my thing.
Yeah, oh, it's beautiful. I mean, as long as it works for you and it works for the band and the music, and that's in the end what it's
yeah.
Otherwise,
exactly.
Just to end, like, what's still on the schedule for you for this year? And do you have any plans of coming to Europe, like some tours, or what are the projects that you have on the schedule?
Yes, well, we have a short tour in Europe coming up in May.
Ah, really?
Very short tour with protocol. And then I have a few shows in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
With this wonderful, you must know, his name is Romero Lubambo, which is
really? Oh, fantastic!
Guitar player for that. He's with Diane's band. So we're gonna do a big festival in Rio with Mohini Day, and Rodney Holmes on drums.
Beautiful, man.
So it's gonna be an interesting thing, because it's gonna be like, bam, we arrive and we just play. And then after that, I'm gonna take the summer to prepare to do all the thinking for my next album. It's something that I have not really decided if I'm gonna do like a large format with a brass
Mm.
orchestra or just the quartet, or it might go in different directions. You know, I have ideas to go to do like some orchestral stuff, and that's it. That's gonna be the summer,
That's a lot, yeah.
And wait what happens with this record that I finished with my wife too, because it's glorious. I tell you, it's glorious. Sometimes you do something and you know, I like to stop listening to it. You know, it's done for a long time, for a few weeks already, and then I don't listen to it anymore. And then last night in the party, some of the musicians were here, so I played one track. It's like, wow, it's like, you know, it's a lot of effort, a lot of work, because it's a larger format. You know, I did a lot of stuff with choir. We use a choir,
Oh, wow, beautiful.
and instead of an orchestra, we use a choir, and a lot of moving parts and arranging wise. There was a lot of stuff, and the guys played wonderful. So I just can't wait for this thing to come out and really see the response of people.
Fantastic, man. Beautiful. Looking forward to everything. Super.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.